Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
Hello and welcome to the Popternative podcast, the podcast and talk show where we have digital discussions, the worlds of TV, film, music, news, pop culture, everything really depending on the guest. We talk about it all. As always, I'm your host, Peter Remoliotis. On social media, you know me as PD Beats. And we are talking about a horror movie coming out very soon, Wrong Turn. We are speaking to Adain Bradley, who stars in Wrong Turn. Aidan, welcome to Popternative, man.
Hey, what's up, buddy? How you doing?
I'm really excited to chat about this. I mean, you know, this is an iconic horror movie franchise. There are a lot of Wrong Turn movies, and you guys are doing a reimagining about it. I mean, what was kind of going through your mind when you were going to be doing this movie?
Yeah, I knew of the Wrong Turn movies, but I think I've only seen the first one, maybe. So for me, it wasn't like, oh no, are we continuing or whatever? It was always described to me as a reboot. In fact, when I first got the script, Wrong Turn wasn't even in the title. It was a full reimagining of it, and then it kind of circled back. So for me, I was just kind of seeing a new thriller horror film. And then once I got onto set, I kind of understood that it was steeped in history and kind of versed myself in it. But up to that point, I was like, oh, cool, this really cool movie. And then I was kind of informed.
You've worked on a lot of shows. You've worked in, a little different genres. You've been in an episode or two of Riverdale. There's been, soap operas as well. How does this this project compare to other projects you've kind of worked on? Because like you said, the cinematography of this was unbelievable as well.
Yeah, well, thank you. Yeah, very different. For one, just kind of being in the middle of nowhere. Well, I say the middle of nowhere. We're in the middle of Ohio, which, as you can tell, I'm not from the US. So LA is kind of like my thing, and I go to the studio or whatever. So being out in the middle of nowhere was very different. The timeline of shooting this one thing and having a beginning, a middle, and end for the 3 months that we were shooting it, and also the set design, like when they walking into this huge space and they just built this outside village and they're like, oh, this is the cabin and this is this. I'm like, what? So this was definitely a bigger scale for me, but at the end of the day, you just kind of lock in and you say your words and you try and do your job to the best of your abilities.
From the beginning and the end of this movie, your characters are on a journey, and different characters have kind of different journeys, and there's a lot kind of going on throughout this film with your characters. How do you also prepare for the layers of kind of growth and certain things that happen with your character and the other characters around you? Because that's also an interesting thing too.
Yeah, to be honest, a lot of people would say that I was one of the unlucky ones, but I was quite lucky. I came on super late. Like I got the job like 2 days before I actually left to shoot the job. So I didn't have a big opportunity to kind of overthink it or whatever. You're right though. It's a lot like, wait, so he feels this way, but then he's going to do this, but then Jen's thinking this.
It's a roller coaster of emotions.
Yeah. To be honest, just kind of having faith. Like Mike, our director, was so good, and he was always super open, and we were all living in the same place. So he was just a knock at the door away, which was nice. And not getting too wrapped up in the things that you can't control, right? Like, what's my guy feeling? Obviously, I know that everyone else on the cast has their thing covered. What can I do to make this seem the best possible? Do you know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. Horror films naturally have always kind of been this ensemble cast. There's always that kind of group of friends, like in this film, that go and then stuff gets real and everything happens. Do you think that's a little bit of kind of a misconception or something overlooked in horror, that it is like an ensemble cast most of the time? Like I always thought about that when I was watching this movie.
Yeah, I don't know. You're right? Like, how many times do 8 friends pack up in the Escalade and go to that? Yeah, you're right. But like at the end of the day, that's why it's so fun, right? Because you do have this group. At the end of the day, maybe you don't have a pack of 9 people that you hang out with, but you have that group of friends. I don't know. I think that it like heightens the viewing experience as well, because you kind of root for people. Also, it's a horror film, so people have to slowly be picked off. It works. I know what you mean, though. It's like, oh, let's all hop in the Suburban and go on the, but I don't know. Everybody knows a friendship group, right?
What was because different people have different answers. What was your relationship with the horror genre before this movie? Like, as kind of also like someone who watches stuff, or like, what did you know about the genre?
Mate, can I tell you, I'm absolutely terrified. I am so bad, like, because I'm this big guy and I walk in and I do all these projects or whatever, and I'm walking around with the guy. I'm so terrified. Like, I cannot watch horror movies like with unattended without a family member present. So no, seriously. So filming it, I was like, oh God, I don't know. It's a lot less scary though when the director goes, okay, so you're gonna walk over and then the guy's going to jump out. I'm like, great, because I cannot watch horror. I'm so bad. But that's why I like this one a little bit. It's not just the crazy jump scares. There's some thriller elements, there's some character development. It was kind of a perfect mix, my first foray into the genre. So I'm good.
But when you're doing kind of research for the genres like this, or you're talking to people that can do the horror movies, because I agree, man, it's down the middle. There's people who can and can't. Like, it's a thing.
I love them. I'm just terrified.
But it's like, it's one of those things where the movie has the elements of a traditional horror movie, you know, the, oh my God, this is happening, the gore, like it has that for sure. But there's different ways we could scare people these days. And I think this Wrong Turn film does that. People are scary.
Yeah, you're right, mate. Like Pete, like you're so right. I think this was kind of why I enjoyed it, and Alan did such good job with the script, because it was a bit more cerebral. Like the scariest, I don't know about you, but the scariest moments watching it back for me were the Venable moments.
Yeah.
Watching the interactions, listening to the conversations, and then you're like, oh, don't get me wrong. When such and such falls or such and such gets stabbed, you're like, whoa. But those like real life cerebral, wait, what would I do in those situation moments? Those were the scary moments for me in the film. So I think you're kind of right.
But for getting back to what you were talking about, kind of the roller coaster of kind of emotions and layers and turns, literally wrong turn, literally turns in the
serious it there.
But it's funny because it's like the viewers watching the movie, right? Movies like this and everything's going on. It's like, oh my God, this is happening now. This. What's it like when you and the cast, and I'm talking about, you know, yourself, Verdun, Dylan, Adrian, where you're reading it like table reads, does that happen with you guys too? Where you're kind of reading before you shoot it? Like, what was that like in the table reads reading the script?
You know what's so funny? Because the table read isn't actually that crazy, because you've read the script, maybe you've read it a couple of times.
Yeah.
So you read it, it's fun to hear it for the first time, everybody kind of reading their own thing. So that's fun. When it gets kind of weird is when you read it and you think it's going to look a certain way, and then you get to set and you're like, oh, that's 1,000 times scarier than I thought it was going to be. That's disgusting. That's like the really fun part, because you think that it's going to be something and then you see it as something completely different.
Absolutely. A couple more questions before we wrap up quickly. I mean, there's also one of those kind of moments where, you know, you decide that acting and storytelling is what you wanted to do, and you're someone who's worked in a lot of different genres. For you, what led you to want to be in the position you are right now? Like, how did Adain Bradley decide that he wanted to do what you're doing now? You're in movies like Wrong Turn. When did that come to be?
That's a really good question, mate. To be honest, I'd like to say that there was some huge, like, you know, coming to moment where I was like, this is what I'm going to do. I don't know if I believe in fate. I'm not sure, but I didn't have a choice, Pete. Like, since I was 4 years old, you can ask my family, like, I was always doing something. I was always performing, and it just felt like the natural thing to do. And then I got to a point in life where I knew I couldn't do anything else. Like, I had to do this. And I'm one of the fortunate ones. A lot of people want to do this. They don't have the support. I got the support from my family. I've been very lucky. I've gotten some good breaks. And I think that that's, you know, whatever the universe, whatever you believe in, kind of telling me that, no, this is my path, because I'm a lucky one. You know, I'm working. So, I don't know if I really had a choice, to be honest, if that answers your question, Pete.
Has it hit you that it is the calm before the storm? The film is going to be released on digital and VOD like very soon.
Absolutely not. I'm terrible with these things. Like I think, oh, I've done it and we shot it. Like, my part is done. And then all of a sudden you go onto your social medias and a ton of followers pop up, or you're speaking to Pete, or you're doing whatever, and you're like, oh my goodness. But my parents got to see it. And that's when it really hit me, because they watched it and they were super excited, and they watched everything I do. But the credits scrolled and my name was right there, and my parents just lost it. And I was like, oh wow, this is a thing. Everybody's gonna see
The
this.
trailer reveal was a big deal too. Like I remember, like because
Yeah,
we
it
love
was,
the
right?
movies. It was a big deal when the trailer got released.
Hey man, yeah. No, I know. And that's kind of when I really understood like how much love there was for this IP. Because it's this big thing. It's this thing from the thousands and the early thousands or whatever. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. But when it was like breaking news, Entertainment Week, breaking news, Wrong Turn trailer drops, I'm like, wait, what? So that was really interesting for me. I've never had that experience before, but I don't know. I'm excited when people are excited, and everybody seems really excited. So
Absolutely. Well, Aidan, thank you so much for coming on Popternative for a bit to chat about Wrong Turn. I really appreciate it, man.
thanks, buddy. Anytime, seriously, anytime I'm coming back. I love your energy, bud.
I really appreciate that. So yeah, the movie is coming out. People are going to be
Yes,
able to
it
see it. And where can people follow you on social media to keep up to date with everything?
They can follow me. I have a bit of a weird spelling, so I'll spell it out. They can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Adain Bradley, spelt the normal way. That's Adain Bradley.
Amazing. Well, seriously, thank you so much, and congrats with the film. I enjoyed it. People are going to be able to see it very soon, and I'm really excited for people to see it.
Cheers, mate. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Well, this has been Popternative, youtube.com/Popternative for previous episodes. And until next time, this is Aidan Bradley from Wrong Turn and PD Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.